let's talk about the human brain. It's probably the most complicated thing in the entire known universe. For centuries, figuring out how it actually works, well, it's felt pretty much impossible. But what if we could finally get our hands on the actual blueprint?
I mean, really think about it. You've got billions of neurons and trillions with a T of connections, all firing away in this incredible symphony that creates every single thought, every memory, every feeling you've ever had. The ultimate dream of neuroscience has always been to create a complete wiring diagram of this thing, a real map of the mind. And this huge, monumental effort actually has a name: connectomics. It's the mission to trace every single pathway, to see exactly how the brain is put together physically. And this isn't just about anatomy, it's about understanding the very structure that makes everything else possible.
Now, up until very recently, this work has been painfully slow, not to mention ridiculously expensive. But a new technology, a toolkit called LICON, is about to hit the accelerator on this quest like we've never seen before. To really get just how revolutionary this is, though, we actually need to rewind the clock a bit.
Okay, so the big question that's driving all this research, it's way older than you'd think. It actually goes all the way back to the dawn of the digital age and the connection between the machines we build and the minds we have.
So let me introduce you to John von Neumann. This was a guy so brilliant, he literally helped invent the modern computer. But in his final work, a little book called The Computer and the Brain, he turned his focus away from artificial intelligence to the original AI, our own.
And his conclusion was, well, it was stunning. He realized that the brain doesn't work at all like the computers he was building. He figured it had to be something totally different. He called it a massively parallel analog machine.
So what von Neumann laid out were two totally different blueprints for how to build intelligence. Here was his key insight. Computers work serially. They do one thing at a time, but they do it with incredible speed and precision. The brain? It does the exact opposite. It's doing billions of things all at once, but its individual parts are actually pretty slow and imprecise. And that was the paradox. Just to put this in perspective, a modern computer processor can crank out billions of operations every single second. Its parts are just lightning fast. Now, a single neuron, by comparison, it's kind of pathetic. It fires maybe 100 times a second. That's millions of times slower. So how on earth can our brains be so powerful? How can you catch a ball in a split second when the hardware doing the math is so sluggish? The brain's genius isn't in the quality of its components. It's in its organization. It makes up for having slow parts by using a mind-boggling number of them all at the same time. Its power comes from massive breadth, billions of slow workers acting in parallel, not from the logical depth of one super-fast processor. For decades, von Neumann's idea was just that, a brilliant theory, but that's all it was because we couldn't see it. But now technology has finally caught up. We can finally see what he was talking about. And that brings us right back to LICON. The process here is just so ingenious. Researchers take a teeny tiny piece of brain tissue, slice it super thin, and then they soak it in a hydrogel. It's basically the same stuff that makes diapers absorbent. And this gel makes the tissue swell up to 16 times its original size. It's like blowing it up like a balloon. All of a sudden, neurons and synapses that were way too small to see with a regular microscope just pop into view. Then they paint them with fluorescent dyes, and an AI comes in and traces all the glowing connections to build the map. And this is exactly why it's a total game changer. The old way of doing connectomics required these huge, multi-million-dollar electron microscopes. LICON works with standard light microscopes that you'd find in most labs, which makes brain mapping so much more accessible. But its real superpower is that it can image not just the physical structure, but the specific molecules that are at work inside that structure. So when you bring this old school theory and this brand new technology together, we are right on the verge of a whole new era in understanding the mind. And this right here just brilliantly shows the leap we've taken. LICON doesn't just give us a roadmap of the brain's wiring. Because it can also tag specific proteins and neurotransmitters, it actually shows us the traffic on those roads, the molecular machinery that makes thought happen. We can see the wiring, and we can see what the wiring is doing. So why does all this matter?
Well, for one, it's democratizing brain mapping, which means more scientists can get in on the action. But even more profoundly, it gives us this unprecedented window into what goes wrong in neurological diseases. For the first time, we might be able to map the precise structural and molecular changes that lead to something like Alzheimer's, and that could unlock completely new ways to fight back.
So, a question that pioneers like von Neumann could only wonder about is now starting to be answered by tools like Lycon. We are, for the first time, actually beginning to read the brain's source code. The next great challenge isn't just going to be reading the map, but understanding what it all means and figuring out what we choose to do with that knowledge.